Hello, America. It's Eddie J. Hey, we've all witnessed that this is a hotly contested political season, and people who have never cared to participate in politics before will be casting a vote for the person they believe should become the President of the United States. I do not want there to be any conjecture as to who I will be supporting, so I'll tell you at the beginning that I will be voting for Donald Trump. The rest of this piece will be my best attempt to give support and evidence for my thinking in this process. Let me first clear the air by making this statement. Whomever you may decide to support, let us agree that that person is going to be tragically flawed. Welcome to the human family. In the context of what I presume to be a contested discussion, I'm certain I'll have ample opportunity to again reference that statement. Now to bigger and better things. It is my opinion that the vast majority of us who have watched the news and monitored this year's race, if only sparingly or haphazardly, have gotten distracted from our responsibility as stewards of the American family. When I say we're stewards, I refer to the fact that our nation is one with a government for the people and by the people. Ultimately, it is our fault if the government functions a certain way because we have failed to hold elected officials accountable for their actions. I want you to know this, that when it became clear that Donald Trump would be the presumptive nominee on the other side, I was like, oh, heavens no. However, in retrospect, I see that response and opinion were a function of seeing him in the context of his celebrity and all that that entails. Like many of you, I had become distracted from the issues. As fellow citizens, stewards of this great nation, and caretakers of one another, the issues I believe should most concern us are these: jobs, immigration, healthcare reform, and national security. As such, our responsibility is to know the importance of the issues to ourselves and select a candidate whose position most mirrors that importance. For the sake of time, I'll only discuss jobs and immigration today. Here are Donald Trump's position on these issues. Concerning jobs, he wants to expand energy opportunities to help U.S. become more energy independent. Opportunities like fracking, which have been blocked by current political leaders, would decrease the number of Americans seeking jobs by the thousands. What impact would that have on the economy? On top of that, what would it mean to our security if we no longer had to protect energy interests in the Middle East? In addition, he wants to bring American businesses back home. Many of us in the working class wonder why companies take their businesses overseas to grow them. A major reason for that is that these businesses are limited in their growth and in their bottom line because of the huge tax burden placed on them by the ever-expanding federal government. This burden, from their perspective, is easily alleviated by opening their businesses in another country. Well, one of the obvious methods for luring them back home would be by eliminating that tax burden. In simple terms, this would mean more jobs for Americans. Concerning immigration, the issue is considerably more complex and as a result demands that proper context be given to it. Specifically, the premise of immigration can be summed up in that people come from multiple countries, having varied cultures, use their ingenuity, assimilate, and add to the American society. And there is a legislative process for becoming a citizen. In simple terms, there are written rules. Speaking only about the hundreds of illegals coming from Mexico, however, there is currently a substantial and daily impact that influx has on our national debt because taxpayer funds are being used to care for them instead of paying down our debt. In other words, they're not adding to the society, they're draining it. Now, we have all heard that Donald Trump wants to build a wall. the ramifications for which are enormous to say the least. But let's consider for a moment, given all the other impossible things he's pulled off, that he's able to facilitate the building of said wall between Mexico and the United States. That influx of illegals goes away, along with the negative financial impact which accompanies it. It would also greatly reduce, if not eliminate, the crimes that have been committed against Americans by illegals. And this is where we play our part. If the current policies are not benefiting the governed, we have the right to get rid of those policies and fire or not hire those who played a part in putting them in place. I come from a culture which has a history of towing the line. For those not familiar with that concept, in simple terms, it means no matter what, you vote Democrat. Of course, I'm referring to the beautiful African American culture into which I was born, experienced my childhood, and most of my young adult life. But my experiences since then have revealed to me a greater truth. It is the fact that my real family is not just African American, but Chinese American, Polynesian American, Iranian American, Japanese American, Scandinavian American, South American. I think you get the picture. If America fails, it won't matter what subculture you use to identify yourself. And that is precisely what will happen if the current policies and agenda are allowed to continue. The Vice President said to some reporters, "I cannot fathom what Donald Trump would do." I agree with his assessment, and I expand upon it by saying I can fathom what Hillary Clinton would do. She has repeatedly said she would continue the policies of the current administration. As one who would potentially be governed by her and those policies, I do not give my consent for her to do that. Friends, I come to you with facts which are readily attainable and with what I believe is reasonable logic which takes them into account. Though I am passionate in my expression, I offer you much more than emotional sentiment. I say this because I know there are those of you who will disagree with me. That's fine. After all, we are Americans and disagreeing is what we do best. I ask only that you respond to me and treat me with the same level of dignity. Bring your facts, organize them accordingly, and let us have a debate worthy of the good people who make up our American family legacy. Some of you are probably wondering, well, who are you? Why should we listen to you? Well, to coin a phrase of the great American philosopher Morton Downey Jr., I'm just a dude, playing a dude, acting like another dude. And if you like clowning around like I do, you have to admit that's a classic line. But seriously, like you and so many others in this great nation, I am but one citizen. And you have just been privy to one citizen's opinion. God's blessings to you.